of the craziest stories in football history just so happens to involve one of the most flamboyant footballers of all time. Colombian international Rene Higuita was one of the first goalkeepers to take risks with the ball at his feet, prompting the term sweeper keeper. Like fellow South American keeper Jose Luis Chilavert, Higuita was a free kick specialist, scoring 41 goals throughout his career. In September of 1995, Higuita provided a piece of magic at Wembley Stadium. A wayward cross by Jamie Redknapp set him up for the most entertaining clearance of all time, now known worldwide as the Scorpion Kick. So, how did a professional goalkeeper get himself caught up in a kidnapping connected to drug lord Pablo Escobar? To answer that question, we need to clarify exactly how the pair knew each other. The goalkeeper's connection to Escobar is through Pablo's brother Roberto. As a result of that friendship, he also knew Pablo. But even if Higuita hadn't been friends with Roberto Escobar, it was not in any way uncommon for narcos to mingle with celebrities. Many football clubs in Colombia in the 70s and 80s were owned by drug traffickers. Owning a football team was a status symbol, it was a fun business venture, but most of all, it was a great way to launder drug money. Fans would pay for match tickets in cash, they'd buy food and drink in cash. If they bought any memorabilia, a scarf, a shirt, anything at the game, that was paid for in cash. It was a perfect way to clean illegal money and declare that you've earned more than you have. So, that explains why if you were a Colombian soccer player in the 70s or 80s, you would have most likely met a drug lord at some point during your career. Now, that interaction could be as small as a ceremonial handshake to each player before a game, right the way up to flying on a private jet with the team after a big win and partying with cartel members and strippers and God knows what. When it comes to the famous Rene Higuita kidnapping scandal, some of the finer details are a little bit tricky to pin down. However, what remains clear is that Higuita helped to negotiate the release of an 11-year-old girl who was the daughter of one of Pablo Escobar's associates. His role was officially described as a mediator. Now, the fact that Pablo Escobar wanted to help rescue his associate's daughter, that makes sense. But you would think that at that point the best person to bring in is someone who has experience dealing with these kind of things. But instead, 24-year-old Rene Higuita, goalkeeper for local football club in Medellin, Atlético Nacional, was somehow chosen as the right man for the job. Even though Higuita was a massive wildcard choice for what was basically a hostage negotiation situation, the decision ultimately paid off as Higuita successfully mediated the safe release of the girl. So, up until this point, Higuita hasn't done anything against the law, but the fact that he received payment for his services counted as profiting from a crime. But based on that kind of logic, there would be no professional hostage negotiators for the police, as they would be profiting from a crime as well. There wouldn't be any lawyers either, for that matter, or cops or judges, or even security guards at supermarkets. Another thing to bear in mind is this. If Pablo Escobar told you to mediate the release of a hostage, what are you going to do? Tell him no? And when you successfully complete the task and you're allegedly handed an envelope of cash and told to keep your mouth shut, he can't exactly say, "Oh, I'm terribly sorry, but I can't be accepting this money from criminals, as it would be a clear violation of the law." Higuita was taken into custody and was given the choice to speak about who was involved in the kidnapping, who did he work with in terms of how to resolve the kidnapping, who was responsible for it, but he refused to give up any names. Due to the fact that he refused to snitch, he spent 7 months in jail awaiting trial and was released in 1994. Another reason he probably had to spend that time in jail was the fact that Pablo Escobar's time was running low at that point. He didn't have many friends left, he was on the run, and by the time Rene Higuita actually got out of prison, Pablo Escobar had been killed. Which leads to what is a contender for my favourite quote ever made by an athlete. Rene Higuita apparently said during an interview, "I'm a footballer, I didn't know anything about kidnapping laws." So having thought about this subject for quite a while and read articles and this, that and the other, I came to the conclusion that maybe whoever committed the kidnapping was a fan of the team that he played for. Like for me, I'm a Spurs fan, so if I kidnap someone and then they got Hugo Lloris to call me on the phone and say, "Listen Jack, this is a little bit out of order, can we resolve this peacefully?" Maybe I'd be like, "Oh, it's Hugo Lloris, I can't look bad in front of Hugo Lloris." So I don't know, maybe it was that, maybe, the kidnapper was a fan of him as a goalkeeper. Maybe he was known to just be a nice guy with a calming voice that could de-escalate situations. Anyway, leave your opinions in the comments. If you've got any information on this that I haven't found out, leave that information in the comments. I'll be glad to hear about it. Also, why do you think he hired Rene Higuita? What are your thoughts on the matter? Leave them in the comment section. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you like the way I tell stories, and if you've liked this video, make sure to give it a like and give it a thumbs up, which is pretty much the same thing. I don't know why I said both. A like is a thumbs up is a like. Anyway, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Loose Cannon TV.